Hey everyone, before this video gets started, if you're an Uber driver, a Lyft driver, really any major gig economy worker, and you want to get paid for benefits, sick time, and a whole bunch of other stuff, then click the link below to sign up for Cover. Cover is an incredible service that's basically being the missing link for Uber drivers and Lyft drivers that we've been looking for a super long time. If you get into an accident, or you get hospitalized, God forbid, or just you need a sick day, Cover will actually replace 80% of that income. So click the link down below and get 30 days free on us right now. Now let's get started on this video. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Rideshare Hub. My name's Greg. The video I got for you guys today is kind of a horrible one, honestly. I don't know if any of you guys saw in the news about the Uber driver that was sentenced to 6 years in prison. But yeah, we're going to go over that real quick. Sorry, it's kind of just horrible. So yeah, I don't know. I saw this in the news the other day, and God, this is like disgusting. But basically, this guy. Well, I'll just read it to you guys. So, 39-year-old Uber and Lyft driver has been sentenced to 6 years in prison after pleading no contest to raping a woman he picked up in Van Nuys in 2018, officials said Tuesday. Pretty sure that's California. Octavio Gomez of Canoga Park pleaded to one felony count of rape of an unconscious person, according to the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. He was also ordered to register as a sex offender for the rest of his life. The incident occurred on October 2nd, 2018. Jeez, it took 2 years. When Gomez picked up the victim from a pub to take her home, officials said. Instead, Gomez kept driving to a secluded area where he stopped the vehicle and raped the victim, according to prosecutors. The victim reported the crime to the LA Police Department, and detectives eventually took him into custody while he was driving for Lyft, officials said at the time. He wasn't charged until almost a year later in September 2019. Okay, so a year, not 2 years. He was previously facing life in prison for kidnapping and rape charges. Oh my God. So he already had a... How does Lyft not catch that? Like, how do you hire someone who was previously facing life in prison for kidnapping and rape? At the time, LAPD officials asked for the public's help to identify any additional victims Gomez may have assaulted. Here's my thing with Uber and Lyft. Like, I don't understand, how legit is their background check process? How legit is Checker, if that's who they still use? I don't know, maybe I misunderstood the ending, but it sounds like he was previously convicted of something. That's disgusting, but I don't know how people like that can get through. I mean, I guess it's a huge system. It's like there's eventually going to be people that slip through the cracks, and I've talked about cases like this before on the channel, how whether you're a passenger or a driver, it's kind of scary, it's you really don't ever know who you're going to pick up, and as a passenger, you don't ever know who your driver's going to be. Most of you that have driven long enough, you've probably heard crazy stories from some of your passengers, or very creepy stories. I've heard so many. One of the craziest ones I ever had was a girl I actually picked up that she had this driver, and she was 17, and she had this driver who was like, hey, can we just stop at my apartment? It's right here. And so she was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. Can we stop at this McDonald's? And then the McDonald's wasn't open because it was 2 a.m. So she just ran and was hiding by this Sprouts grocery store when I picked her up. And she told me the whole story, and I was just like, oh my gosh, there's weirdos out there. The one thing I do want to always say though is nothing good comes out of being paranoid about giving rides or taking rides, because there's millions of rides given all the time, and how many of these stories actually come out? I mean, you're statistically looking at below 1% chance that something actually happens. So it's if you don't like those odds, well, you know, then you shouldn't ride a plane and you shouldn't drive a car. It's probably more dangerous. Or, you know, walk outside during a thunderstorm. You could get struck by lightning, you know. So it's like you don't want to like let these things really affect you, because look at the odds you're playing with, you know. It's really not a high chance that anything sketchy happens to you, you know. And like one of the funniest things for me was always like when Uber and Lyft first came out, everyone was like, oh, I'd never get in a stranger's car. I'm like, so taxi cabs, like, that's just super safe. If you've ever ridden in a cab in Chicago, New York, LA, like, you know, it's like, it doesn't feel safe, you know, but people did it without hesitation. I mean, we never cared. And when Uber and Lyft came out, it was like this idea that the world's sketchiest people are going to be ride sharing. And it's not the case. I mean, most of us, I would say, have had a really incredible experience on Uber and Lyft, but there are going to be those weirdos. So another thing I wanted to cover in this video is, obviously this dude's just disgusting and he deserves to have all this. Honestly, 6 years to me just doesn't feel like enough. But one thing, a different way of, not in correlation to this, but one thing I've harped on a lot on the channel is how, like, almost under no circumstances should you ever be overly flirtatious with a customer. Should you ever be asking a customer out on a date? Even worse, like trying to go home with them. Obviously, if you're a weekend driver, that's probably something you'll run into, you know? And it's a tough topic, so I'm going to tread carefully, but like I've had multiple scenarios where, you know, I mean, like nothing really crazy happened, but I've had some uncomfortable scenarios where like there was like really drunk girls that, you know, I mean, I remember one time this girl behind me and she starts massaging my shoulders and I was like, can you please stop? Like, I'm not okay with that. And I had another like really icky scenario where there was a girl that got in the front seat. And I mean, granted, she's like plastered drunk, probably wouldn't have done this if she was sober, but she puts her hand on my leg and starts moving her hand down. So I grabbed her hand and was just like, we're not doing this. So you always want to tread carefully, because it's a crazy day and age and you never know what people are going to say, even if you're not in the wrong. Now, like I said, that guy's nasty. That's horrible. And I'm not at all saying I think he wasn't in the wrong. Like I said, I think he deserves more time, honestly. What I'm saying is, it's always better to err on the side of caution with Uber and Lyft. You don't want to take risks. You don't want to kiss a passenger because you don't know what she might remember, he might remember, and say the next day. You don't want to make any kind of move, really. Sorry, someone just was walking by and did something really weird. Really random. Sorry. You just don't want to take that risk because at the end of the day, it's just not worth it. People are crazy. You really don't know these people, no matter, even if it's a 40-minute ride and you guys had this glorious conversation and sparks were flying. You don't want to take that risk. Here's the one way I think you can, like, maybe this is okay. So if you really think you're like, wow, this is like my soulmate, I don't know, like whatever you're thinking, I think it's okay to say like, hey, like I'm working right now and, you know, I'm a professional. So I want to be a professional, but, you know, like I thought we had a great conversation. I'd love to take you out to lunch sometime. You know, can I have your social media, your number? I would say social media actually is like a much safer thing. I think it's like almost weird to like ask for someone's number in the Uber nowadays. I know people do it all the time, and like, hear me, I know that's probably a little extreme, but you've got to understand from their perspective, you could be the creepy Uber driver. From their perspective, you could be the serial killer Uber driver. Like, how are they supposed to know you're not insane? You know, they're not. Like, you can have a great rating and they just don't know, you know, it doesn't matter. So like, I think if you really are cautious about it, it's okay. Would I? No, never. I mean, it's one thing if they ask for your number, like it's one thing if they ask you out, but if it's like a same night type of thing, like, hey, why don't you park your car and come inside, and you can tell they've been drinking or something, I definitely wouldn't. I just like, if I was ever in those scenarios, And I only ever wasn't a few times. Like, I'd be like, hey, you know, yeah, here's my number. Let's hang out some other time, you know, but I'm not trying to do it while I'm on the job. I'm not trying to hang out with them while I'm, you know, still like logged into the app. Like, I want it to be like a whole different day. Cause for me, like, I'm just not willing to risk anything, you know? It's just a crazy day and age. And when people are drunk or high or whatever they were doing on their weekend, like, you just don't know how they're thinking. You don't know their thought process. So all in all, guys, like, just stay safe, but err on the side of caution always. I almost want to say I hope you didn't enjoy this video, because it's not I don't know. I'm talking too much, so I'm gonna cut it off there. I hope you guys just like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys soon.